Everybody Hates Rand is a Wheel of Time podcast that will contain spoilers for all 14 books. So if you're anti-spoiler, stop this, read all 14 books, and come back. We'll be here, waiting.
Our title is a joke and is meant to be taken as such. Everybody in this context refers to us and our cats. You are free to feel however you want about Rand. He's a fictional character. Please don't DM us.
The world is a mess, Dark One stretching out his hand. The dragon's reborn, the fire's been fanned, but everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand. Everybody hates Rand.
It has been 0 days since our last spanking incident in the Wheel of Time.
And isn't that unfortunate?
I mean, yeah, didn't we get a message from someone recently that was just like, not a chapter goes by in Knife of Dreams that a woman isn't getting spanked?
Yeah.
And it's like, you're so right, bestie.
Not a chapter goes by.
Yeah,
And
Robert Jordan's, like, sexual perversions are really, he just, like, has given up on disguising them. He's been allowed to publish, at this point in history, 10 full books with just a light sprinkling of his sexual perversions, and now he's like, wonder how much else I can get away with. And it turns out, anything he wants.
yeah,
He's a white man in America. That's how it works.
them's the shakes.
Yep.
Tragically.
This is Everybody Hates Rand. Your friendly neighbor, your not so friendly neighborhood Wheel of Time podcast. I'm Emily Drewshaw.
And I'm Sally Gutcher.
The good news is that these chapters have a zebra.
They do have a zebra.
Now, it's not called a zebra, but I'm not fooled. I know a zebra when it's described to me.
They're like, it's a horse called a razor, and it's just like a very good horse, but it's got black and white stripes.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's a reason people don't ride zebras. Like, aren't they, like, demonic or something?
Yeah, something like
They're
that.
extremely mean, or something like that. I don't know, or maybe they, like... this is pure speculation. I have not ever watched, like, a planet Earth based in Africa to which zebras are native, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know anything about zebras. This is just me speculating. Here are some reasons that I think zebras would be
Yeah, lay it on me.
worse horses. Horses, but worse. TM. Even more breakable bones. They just take a step, boom, shattered. Chris Rock played one in the Madagascar franchise, and that has tainted them forever because he's not a very good comedian.
Yeah. This article in Cowgirl Magazine asks...
In Cowgirl Magazine, speaking of sexual perversion...
asks, why don't people ride horses? If you think zebras are just... Yeah, sorry. Why
don't people ride horses? Because they have a sense of self-preservation.
Cowgirl Magazine asks, sorry. Why don't people ride zebras? If you think zebras are just horses with stripes, think again.
Wow, Robert Jordan really needed to read this article.
The simple answer is that they aren't domesticated animals. Previously, zebras have proven quite difficult to tame because of their aggressive nature.
Oh, I was right.
Even if they were nice, zebras are much too small to ride. A person would damage their back.
A person? Oh, like a zebra's back. I thought it was like a person mounts a zebra and then like gets debilitating back pain.
Yeah, the zebras have special back hurting powers. Look at this mock-up of a zebra with a saddle.
Oh, it's kind of charming.
Yeah. Yeah, but apparently they're just a little bitchy and a little too small.
It doesn't make sense that they're too small. I mean, I haven't seen a zebra in a real long time since, I don't know.
Last trip to the zoo. I think they have them at Hogel.
I don't know even when the last time I went to the zoo was. So I'm going to guess that the last time I saw, a life-size zebra was the CGI zebra in Life of Pi. which, if you'll recall from the extensive metaphor that is Life of Pi, the zebra's actually his mother, which I think is, mean to his mom, because apparently zebras are all bastards.
Zebras can be very aggressive and dangerous towards people.
Dangerous?
Their first instinct is very strong, and they can bite and kick with... not their first instinct. Their fight instinct.
Their first instinct is literally bite.
And they can bite and kick with ferocity. This is in helpfulhorsehints.com.
Helpfulhorsehints.com. God, I wish I could spend my life on helpfulhorsehints.com. And I wish Robert Jordan had.
But anyway, Emily's first instinct was right. Zebras are too mean to be domesticated and ridden safely.
Yeah.
And so that's...
I guess it makes sense if you're just surrounded by, like, lions and things.
Yeah, that's exactly what Cowgirl magazine said, Emily.
There's
the person who wrote this article's name is Emily. Do you have a secret life writing about Cowgirl
zebras?
magazine?
Yeah, as you know, I have all this cowgirl paraphernalia hanging around. I wear cowboy boots and a howdy hat. What are those called?
Howdy hat?
I don't know. There's a snake in my boot.
This is my howdy hat.
So there's two words that go together.
And my howdy hat and my howdy boots.
And my howdy ass.
Okay, that was a very fascinating dive into why people don't ride horses.
Yeah, the problem with horses is they don't have enough natural predators.
I mean, it might explain their god complex.
Yeah, horses are too uppity in the food chain. Don't they know? Don't they know they could be in the continent of Africa with their black and white brethren?
Fighting off lions.
Fighting off fucking lions.
Yeah.
God, and like crocodiles and hippopotami and all the other stuff that's in Jumanji.
Yeah. Who knows? Rhinos.
Oh yeah, rhinos.
Maybe a very mean elephant.
Okay, yeah, anyway, Robert Jordan, either because he was, here's what I imagine happening. Robert Jordan did some coke, as one does.
Yeah, sure.
And is like, babe, to Harriet, babe, how come no one rides horses? And it was 1973, so no one could Google the answer at that point, and Robert Jordan had never bought an encyclopedia, excuse me. So, he just was like, I'll just imagine what it would be like in a world where zebras were just rare horses. Mm-hmm. So in Wheelie Time world, the apocalypse happened, and men fell in the social food chain, sort of, and zebras were domesticated, and apparently that's how it works. Now, can zebras and horses interbreed? I do not believe so, but Sally's going to look it up on helpfulhorsehints or whatever.com.
Can zebras breed with horses? A Zorse.
There's a
zebroid.
A zebroid?
Let me read this.
Sounds like a frat boy.
Let me read this Wikipedia article. A zebroid is the offspring of any cross between a zebra and any other equine to create a hybrid. In most cases, the sire is a zebra stallion. Offspring of a donkey sire and a zebra dam are called a donkra.
A donkra.
And offspring...
That sounds like a Utah child name.
This is my son, Donkra.
This is my son, Donkra.
And offspring of a horse sire and a zebra dam called a hebra do exist, but are rare and are usually sterile. Mm-hmm. Where was the Zorse? A Zorse is the offspring of a zebra stallion and a horse mare. This cross is also called a zebrule, or zebra mule.
Jesus, there's so many.
The rarer reverse pairing is called a hebra, horsebra, zebra, zebrini, or zebra hinny.
Zebra hinny.
Like most other animal hybrids, the Zorse is sterile. A zoni is the offspring of a zebra stallion and a pony mare. Medium-sized pony mares have been preferred to produce riding zonies, but zebras have also been crossbred with smaller pony breeds such as the Shetland, resulting in so-called Zetlins.
Zeppelins.
Someone was just, like, absolutely having a blast with the Scrabble
Yeah,
tiles.
they were going crazy. They did a bunch of tequila shots and were like, let's combine zebra with all the other four-legged riding beasts names.
Zorse!
Zorse. This is the evil villain of my... Oh, that's something.
There's a picture of a zebroid, and he looks sad.
Yeah,
He's
Zorse. Sterile.
Not every zebroid finds.
I'm just saying, maybe it's
in
for him
parenthood.
personally. It's a hard thing, like Charlotte in Sex and the City. She's not sterile. She
His
has a
name
baby.
was Romulus, 1 year old.
His name is Romulus.
Yeah, this is my...
after the founder of Rome.
This is my Zorse Romulus.
Why Romulus?
Okay, that was a longer Wikipedia
Well, what else are we going to talk
diversion.
about? I mean, you know, I'm just mystified by the number of choices. I'm mystified by Robert Jordan's writing choice to be like, I need Matt to find a distinctive horse, and as a, like, Easter egg for the readers, I'm going to make it a zebra, so they'll be like, that's a zebra, and that'll be a fun little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
But also, I'm mystified by Matt's decision to buy what is potentially the most distinctive horse in the world for a woman he kidnapped
Yeah.
and is trying to keep undercover.
Yeah, like, who among the people of Wheelie Time World would not be like, look at that woman on a fucking zebra?
Yeah. I sure am going to remark upon her.
Yeah.
And remember her in all the witness statements that I am later called upon to provide. Yeah, I mean, a woman riding a zebra. I also don't like the optics of, like, specifically a zebra being given to a black woman.
Yeah.
You know, the whole Africa continent thing there isn't great. I'm sure it didn't even cross Robert Jordan's mind, but that's why you should have a sensitivity reader.
Yeah.
Not that Robert Jordan ever heard of either sensitivity or readers.
Maybe Robert Jordan couldn't read.
Explain a lot. He's just dictating everything.
Yeah.
That's why he couldn't keep track of his own subplots.
Yeah. And throw a fucking zebra in.
Throw the zebra in. Have him spank someone. That always moves the plot along. Does it?
No, it moves
No.
the plot further into
It
hell.
grinds it to a standing... whatever. Okay. So Matt goes into... Okay, wait. Hold on. Plot. So we're picking up literally the day after the incidents at the end of Crossroads of Twilight. Obviously, this is fine because Sally and I personally are reading this, you know, several weeks after we finished Crossroads of Twilight. I imagine it was a little jarring for the people who finished Crossroads of Twilight in 2004 or whatever, and then were expected to pick up Knife of Dreams in 2007.
Yeah.
But whatever. Robert Jordan is doing this very weird timeline thing, as we've already discussed at length in these later books. So we are still outside of the town where Matt took Tuon and Seleucia to, like, shop for silk or whatever. And then Egeanin got knifed by one of the Soldam, and that Soldam ran off, and Matt had to hunt her down. Tuon has given a sort of, once again, permission slip to Val and Luca if he's ever questioned by the Shanshan authorities. It excludes Matt specifically. I don't know if it excludes anyone besides Matt, but does at least exclude him.
Yeah.
Anyway, Matt's like, I would like to move along, please, because that was a series of bad things that happened. A series of close calls, one might say. And Val and Luca's like, no, I can still squeeze some money out of the local populace.
Yeah.
And Matt's like, I will give you the money that the townsfolk would give you if we can just leave now. And Val and Luca's like, thinks about it for like a minute, and then is like, which do I value more? My own abilities as a showman and a marketer of my circus, or my ability to squeeze more money out of Matt, a canny trader?
Yeah.
So he's like, no, we're staying, for sure. And Matt's like, Jesus
It's
fucking
like, hey,
Christ.
fuck you, Val and Luca.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, Matt goes into town. He wants specifically to buy a horse. He does not tell us it's a horse for Tuon, but if you remember, Tuon has like two hobbies, and they are enslaving people and breaking horses because she's such a delightful woman. And so it's kind of obvious. But he goes into the same town where they went for the silks. He gets a fucking meat pie, just like a little,
It sounds
sort
really
of
tasty.
Yeah, he seems like a little British urchin wandering around with his hot meat pie. He finds a lucky find, which is a length of wood that will be very good for making a Two Rivers bow. I'm not sure what happened to his last bow. God only knows. It might be left in the White Tower, for all we know.
Yeah.
I could have sworn he had it at least up until then, and I guess he switched at some point. Anyway, he wants a bow, so he grabs that, and then goes to the stables, looks around, finally finds this razor, and then enters into this little, like, haggling dialogue with the local horse trader, which, is at least inoffensive to read. It's just, you know, Matt's roots showing, you know. Matt's dad is a horse trader, so it's nice for him to be like, well, yeah, my dad is this world's equivalent of a used car salesman, so I know all the tricks.
Yeah.
And blah, 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 blah. I know exactly how to examine this horse to make sure it's in good health. This zebra, excuse me.
It could be a Zorse, for all we know.
Yeah, the magic of Wheelie Time World is that horse-zebra hybrids can breed. Which, like, whatever. Is there like a place in Wheelie Time World, in all the empty spots on the Wheel of Time World map, is there like a herd of feral horses, like Spirit, and then they have a rivalry with the feral zebras, and it's a sort of like Sharks and Jets situation.
Yeah. They snap at each other.
Yeah. Someone make that movie.
And then, obviously, one of the horses and one of the zebra teens fall in love.
Yeah, in Fair Saldia, where we lay our scene.
Fair Saldia. Imagine Davra Bashir walking and being like, that's a fucking zebra.
That's a zebra fucking a horse.
In Fair Saldia, where we lay our scene. Both herds alike in dignity.
Two horses break from new immunities. Where civil blood makes civil hooves unclean.
I don't think neither horses nor zebras have ever had civil hoofs.
Or clean hooves.
Or clean hoofs.
They're constantly covered in blood.
Where uncivil hooves become
Especially
uncleaner.
zebras, apparently. They're
Apparently
bloodthirsty.
zebras are out here just like picking fights everywhere they go.
Yeah.
They're picking the fights with the lions, actually. The lions had to evolve claws in order to defend themselves from the zebras.
are at the top of the food chain above lions.
Yeah, that's what the animal kingdom tries to keep secret.
Yeah, the Lion King is about who will be the puppet king for the zebra dynasty. That's what they don't tell you.
Yeah.
Anyway, Matt is happy with his purchases and returns to the circus. He just hitches his horse to the horse lines, where I imagine everyone for the next 2 days or whatever, until he gives it to Tuon, is like, is that a fucking zebra?
Where'd this zebra come
Where did
from?
that stripy horse come from? Who does he think he is?
Who does he think he
Some
is?
sort of bougie-ass horse wearing pinstripes?
Yeah, a little bow tie.
Beetlejuice-looking horse? Anyway, Matt goes to the Tuon's little wagon, where he finds her and Seleucia talking to Oliver and Noel. Noel's like mid-diatribe about I think Shara.
Oh, yeah.
Shara, yeah. He's just like talking about, you know, some far off place, and how Noel is like one of those walking 19th century highly exaggerated reports from various quote-unquote explorers who were like, yeah, I went to Africa and saw a bunch of, like, I don't know, guys whose eyeballs were in their shoulders. And you're like, okay,
Hey,
I don't think that happened, but it's a nice story, though, I guess.
sure.
Sort of drenched in racism, but what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Did you know Robinson Crusoe was a real guy?
I did not know that.
I mean, like, the dude, Robinson Crusoe, right, is about a dude who gets stranded on an island.
Yeah.
And then eventually is rescued. There was a dude whose his name isn't Robinson Crusoe, but Robinson Crusoe's story is based upon him. He also was stranded on an island, just with a fuck ton of goats. It was just him and all these goats. So obviously he survived because he learned how to walk up to the goats and just kick them so hard that they died.
What type of leg muscles was this man working with?
He was kicking them. He just knew how to fight the goats and also like just keep the goats around. Anyway, he was eventually rescued by none other than Woodes Rogers, the villain in Black Sails, who was made famous before he went to the Bahamas to exterminate the pirates in the golden age of piracy by circumnavigating South America and writing a little book about his journeys, including his description of Random Goat Man.
Random Goat Man.
Who, honestly, the Random Goat Man was stuck on the island because he was in a boat that was, like, gonna sink because the captain was so bad. And, like, apparently in the Caribbean, there's this thing called shipworms, which is why pirates always had to careen their ships to clean off the bottom of their boats. Obviously, you get barnacles and stuff, which slow you down, but shipworms would literally eat through the wood and then your boat would sink, which is a problem, not just for your speed, but for your survival.
Sure.
Anyway, this boat was sinking, and there was a bunch of mutinies, and this guy was like, I would rather be on a goat-infested island than on this sinking ship with an incompetent captain, which really tells you a lot about what sailing was like in those days.
Yeah.
And then when he was rescued, he was like, honestly, I might stay with the goats. I don't know if I can handle getting on a ship again.
Yeah.
But they give him a lot of liquor, and then he did.
I mean, it sounds like he had a pretty good gig on the island with
Honestly,
the goats.
it does, yeah. You see like, some island stuff, and it's like, gosh, those poor people on the island. Or you read Hatchet, and you're like,
yeah,
man, that dude shit on the beach or whatever. Or had to dive in the lake and get the radio.
Yeah,
But no, this dude just had it made with all his goats.
Yeah. I mean, not a bad gig. If I had to go back into 18th century England or whatever, I think I would rather stay on the Goat Island.
You would much rather stay on the Goat Island. He was, like, healthy. They were like, damn, this dude's in good shape. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, because he's not sailing for months on end with scurvy, the flux, and literally the worst labor laws ever known to man.
Yeah. This homie was just, like, hanging with some goats, getting plenty of protein, calcium, or whatever I assume is in goat milk.
Yeah, this is a very wildlife-focused episode of EHR. Sorry for my long diatribe about the Robinson Crusoe guy.
No, that was fascinating.
Anyway.
Also, like, what luck to get stranded on an island with just, like, goats instead of, like...
Yeah, just, like, wild goats. How'd the goats get on that island?
Ooh.
It's like the Bering Strait all over again. How did they get there?
How did they get there? How did the goats
they build boats?
Yeah. Oh, there's another thing the animal kingdom will tell you. Goats are excellent shipwrights.
Goats are excellent at building ships.
They're very good sailors.
That's why goats are the ones that pull along Thor's sled thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're so good at, like, vehicles.
Yeah,
they're mechanics and
engineers.
Labor all at once. Yeah.
Wow. Good job, goats.
Well, I forgot what I was talking about before that. Noel's travels.
Oh, yeah.
First, Matt walks in, and Tuon's like, hi, Toy, you need to knock. And Matt's like, okay, precious, which, you know, unfortunately the word precious has been sort of tainted by the Lord of the Rings, or enhanced by the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And it just doesn't make sense, because Robert Jordan was writing well after the arrival of both the Lord of the Rings series in print and on screen. Yeah. So you'd think he would have picked up on that, but then the dude didn't know that zebras and horses can't mix. So Robert Jordan did zero research on this book, particularly. Anyway, Matt's like, yeah, I'm just going to call you this pet name because you're calling me an insufferable pet name, and that's the level of maturity to which we have fallen.
Yeah.
Tuon's like, okay, sick game. I can't wait to play this. And Matt's like, okay.
What game?
Anyway, Matt's like, are you any relation to Jane Farstrider, Noel? And Noel's like, he's my cousin. Noel's like, no. Just kidding, he was my cousin. And everyone's like, that seems like a lie. But,
I don't have any proof to dispute it.
yeah, Oliver's like, Jane First Rider is the fucking coolest, Noel. Why don't you like him very much? And Noel's like, because he was a fucking dummy who left his wife to die of fever just to go on adventures and fall under the power of and become a tool of blank. We don't know, and we'll never know unless you read the Wheel of Time companion, but fill in the blank is like Ishmael, I think.
It's always that fucking bastard.
I know. Whenever you're like, who's the nefarious evil in the background? It's probably Ishmael. Anyway, so having done this, had our first little Noel lore drop in 3 books or so, Julid runs in and is like, Matt, there's a big Shanshan camp setting up on the other side of the road. Bye. And Matt's like, oh, shit.
Okay.
Fucking the
There's
dice.
everywhere.
Yeah, So he goes out and the Shanshan are setting up like an actual like occupation camp, They're actually coming to stay at this town, it seems like. And Matt walks up right as some stray soldiers are coming over to try and enter the circus without paying. There's like a big standoff, and then the Shanshan's commander, who is also a woman, and it strikes me that Robert Jordan is really laying it on thick with the lady military leaders in the Shanshan. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that's about exactly, except that I suspect that he's trying to be like, give the Shanshan a sort of faux patina of feminism, much like he gives other things by putting women in positions of power without actually investigating the systems of power. Mm-hmm. That's just sort of Robert Jordan's whole shtick.
100%.
Anyway, she calls it off with the help of Matt's witness statement and is like, you all should join the army. It fucking sucks. And Matt's like, I mean, good sales pitch. She's correct, at least. It does fucking suck. I would recruit her for the band.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, thanks for that interaction. Anyway, Matt's walking around and he passes, or I think he's gone to the Aes Sedai / Soldam wagon because he wants to make sure they're okay because of the Shanshan. And he realizes someone is channeling big time in there. So he storms in and finds the 2 remaining Soldam, since Rena, I think, was the one who was killed after stabbing Aegianan.
Sure.
Who's now Leolwyn, by the way.
Yeah.
Because as though we didn't have enough confusing subplots, there also has to be name changes at this late stage of the book. Anyway, the other 2 are just sort of like pinned by the power against the wall, and Jolina's just like slapping one of them repeatedly. And Matt walks up and like grabs her to stop her because no one else is doing anything. Satalanon is there, by the way. And she turns around and smacks him, and he says, that killed the goat. Which I just think is like the funny.
Yeah, like, what are you saying, you weird little farm boy?
Like, Brandon, Matt, and Perrin, specifically Matt and Perrin, often come out with these insane little, like, farm boy sayings, that, like, aren't really correlated to our world's farm boy sayings. It's not like they're saying, there's a snake in my boot.
Yeah.
But that killed the goat.
That
definitely
killed the goat.
has the twang of a West Virginia boy somehow.
Yeah.
And it's like, most of the time, I'm like, this is incomprehensible, Robert Jordan. But that killed the goat makes total sense to me.
Yeah, in this context, you're
I
like,
might start saying that.
That killed the
goat.
goat.
That did it. Anyway, Matt immediately violently starts spanking Jolene and then, like, shoves her off his lap when it becomes clear someone's going to stop him. Because the medallion people are obviously channeling at him. Jolene's warders try and enter. She surprisingly shows them the door without answering what's going on. Everyone wants to know how Matt can be unaffected by channeling. Blah, 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 blah. This is when it comes out. Not when it comes out because it's been hinted to significantly, but everyone's like, oh, clearly Satalanon knows more than she's letting on. Blah, 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 because she recognizes a tearing reel and also referenced something about.
Yeah, she's like, I think she says, like, Catswan had something like that or something.
Yeah, she does mention Cadswan, and she also says something to the Aes Sedai outside of Matt's hearing. Says something about, like, the test for becoming an Aes Sedai. So they're like, ooh, what is up with this lady? Anyway, Matt's like, what even was going on? And apparently this whole thing was triggered because Jolene wanted to, like, leave the wagon or something. I keep wanting to say cabin instead of wagon. I apologize. Jolene was gonna leave or was doing something bratty like she usually does, and one of the soldats also was trying to spank her because that's everyone's resort, apparently. And then they tied her up in the power, and then one of them, like, used the power, which of course is a big sort of breakthrough. Not for these women psychologically, because the last thing they want to do is use the power. But sort of a breakthrough in the whole, can we dismantle the Shanshan Empire just by teaching the Soldan that they can channel? You know, there's a somewhat interesting subplot there if Robert Jordan would only commit to it properly.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was what Matt walked in on, was Jolene dispensing retribution for them being violent against her. So there's what we're seeing is just sort of this cycle of violence, and of course it ends with Matt, the man, the most high in the power structure here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Obviously we don't want to, we know why there's spanking happening. It's because Robert Jordan has a weird fetish for it, and because he likes to portray women as children. We've gone over all of this before. It's particularly difficult because Jolene is written to be extremely childish.
Yeah.
The only word one really can use to describe her is bratty. She is excessively, like, to the point of, I'd like to say unreality, but I know that there are people who are really like this. They're frequenting Reddit, as far as I know. Or the bride Facebook groups.
Oh, boy.
But there are people who really lack the maturity to behave normally as adults, and Jolene is clearly one of them. And it remains highly inappropriate to react to that with violence. But what Robert Jordan is doing via Matt, and what makes this scene so troubling, is that on some level, at least for me, it's satisfying.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Jolene is such a dick. She's mean to everyone. She's extremely mean to Matt, who risked his life and everyone else's lives to help her. She's a liar. She was with Aleda. She shows zero sympathy to Teslyn and Edicina, who were literally enslaved, and she basically calls them cowards all the time.
Yeah.
She herself is using violence as a method of punishment.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, if you set up literally the worst person in the plot, of course there's a part of me and of the readers generally that's like, God, I wish someone would put this woman in her place.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Robert Jordan's mechanism for putting people in their place is having men dispense humiliation and physical punishment. A different writer, I'm trying to think of some alternatives, would talk Jolene down. I've read lots of books where it's satisfying just to see someone who's good at talking, you know, give someone a verbal beatdown.
Totally.
I personally, at this point, would be like, Jolene, you're out.
Yeah.
Take your orders and go. Like, I'm not responsible for you anymore, and you're not welcome here anymore. Of course, whether Jolene would listen to that is an entirely different proposition, but it's like, Matt, you have options. You can separate people from the situation. You can separate the Soldan from Jolene, who clearly can't handle being around people that she has power over.
Yeah.
You can. But ultimately, she's an adult, and you just have to be like, whatever, I'm not going to interact with her.
Yeah.
So there are other ways for this to be resolved in a way that is satisfying to the readers. It's just a sort of, like, sign, I guess, of Robert Jordan's insidious brainwashing that I'm kind of like, yeah, spank her.
No, I totally agree. It is a very satisfying scene, and I know we were joking, but when Matt's like, that killed the goat, it's like, finally, Matt has reached the end of his apparently legendary patience with these women, because they are awful to him,
and
especially
everyone.
Jolene. Yeah, they're just like, he's just like, had it, and it's very satisfying to see Matt, particularly in this plot, is exhibiting a lot of, like, patience and diplomacy. Like, he could definitely be doing it more, but he is, for the situation and the group of people, being as diplomatic as I think anybody could be. And for him to just be like, enough, you are a total asshole and I am done. And he's going to behave a little bit immaturely too. And it's kind of satisfying to get to see him do that when he's been foisted, so much responsibility has been foisted upon him. And you're right, it is satisfying to see Jolene put in her place. And it is really frustrating that Robert Jordan has set up a situation where I'm like, yes, I am satisfied that this happened. I agree, it definitely could have been done in a different way. And it should have been done in a different way. And it's part of sort of Matt's character assassination that he participates in this.
Yeah, it's frustrating because I think what you're referencing, that Matt has been such a diplomatic leader up until this point.
Yeah.
And we're in his head, so we know that he's really struggling with all of it.
Yeah.
And he's constantly exasperated by everyone and constantly wanting to throttle people.
Yeah.
But he is apparently limiting himself to making jokes at their expense.
Sure.
As is his way. But, like, it's frustrating because of the three boys, Matt is the best at leadership, just generally. And I think, or at least his leadership style is one that is most appealing, at least to me. The way we see Rand kind of removed from it all, sort of tyrannical. Very few people have access to him. Whereas Perrin, what we see with Perrin at least, is just Perrin moving through the world kind of juggernaut-ish and people coming to him.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to watch Matt walk around this camp and he's constantly going to other people.
Yeah.
People are coming to him too, but he's constantly like navigating. He's very fluid in this world.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's making concessions all over the place. So yeah, it's a lot easier to be like, ugh, Rand or Perrin doing this. You're like, there's no excuse. But Robert Jordan has made it so that Matt has every excuse.
Yeah.
And that would be interesting if the point was that it's still bad.
Yeah, for Matt to be in this situation and be like, I would love to beat the shit out of Jolene.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Because it is wrong. And I'm going to exercise another satisfying option by just being like, fucking leave then.
Yeah.
You're on your own. You can follow the circus, but we're not feeding you. We're not doing anything.
Yeah, a person's moral strength of character is not determined by what they do when it's easy. It's determined by what they do when it's very difficult. But clearly for Robert Jordan, this is not about morality. This is just, more of his comedy.
Yeah, or it fits totally into Robert Jordan's moral compass, because I also think Matt stepping into this moment where he does throw a woman over his knee like a child and spank her is very much part of his trajectory of moving towards who he needs to be to Tuon, which is
forceful and also equal to her.
Yeah, an equal to her, which means that he's willing to step into the role as the military leader of this authoritarian empire. So for him to sort of step closer to those forms of violence where he's more okay with doing things like unleashing cannons on armies of his own continent and all of these types of things, where he's okay with ignoring the fact that Tuon has and continues to keep slaves, when he's willing to just like move into that system without a lot of logical thought. This is really in line with the second half of his character arc, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. God, it just sucks,
Yeah, it's just like you read it and you're like, I feel
gross.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
I would like to go take a shower.
Yeah. Doesn't feel great.
Doesn't feel great.
Anyway, having done that, Matt leaves and goes to sleep. The Aes Sedai are like, well, we have to train the Soldam now to use the power, because otherwise it'll kill them. And it's like, okay.
Teslyn is like, then let them die.
Teslyn is the most iconic character.
Yeah. Like, in line with the sort of theme of the second half of EHR, it's like, maybe some people are right when they suggest that maybe a little murder would make things a little easier.
I just think Teslyn is such a good character.
Yeah.
I like that she's the only one who's nice to Matt.
Yeah.
I like that she's not nice to Matt in an effacing way. She just seems to treat him as an equal.
Yeah.
And I also like that she's just like, yeah, I'm traumatized by what happened to me. And I will react as though I am traumatized. Fuck, yeah, they're enslavers. I don't care if they die.
Yeah.
Let them die.
Yeah, they've never apologized for it or made any effort to sort of make amends, so...
They're still trying to do it.
Yeah. Perish.
Yeah.
And everyone is like... And Teslyn... Maybe Teslyn is another one who should have a gun.
Teslyn should
Kavara, Teslyn, Grady, and Nealt.
Yeah, just those four. The A-Team, as it were.
Yeah.
And, Matt just goes to bed. Another terrible day. Marked off in the books.
Yeah. Bought a zebra. Did some
Check.
spanking.
Check. Investigated Noel's mysterious backstory. Check. Yep.
Rolled an investigation check.
Yeah.
Got a middling score there. Not a ton was revealed, but we do know something.
Yeah, it's sad. Matt doesn't share the findings of his insight checks with us.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's that, guys. We've descended from zebra madness to just plain madness.
Plain madness. Some absolute tom-fucking-foolery.
Yeah. As we've said before, we're going to be with Matt and the others for quite a while still, so strap in. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks to Glenna McKenzie for our theme song. Thanks to our patrons on Patreon and our followers on social media.
Yeah, a special extra shout out to our patrons. We are encountering some unexpected vet bills.
Oh,
And the little extra money, if I can get my ass to do the budget this weekend, will be very, very helpful.
It goes a long way.
Goes a long way, so thank you very much. Both the cats are mostly fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about them. It's just that, like, vet bills are ridiculously expensive. So.
That's it, I think. Do you have anything to add?
No, I don't have anything to add. We have a patron-submitted sign-off
excellent.
this week. Yeah.
I can't wait.
This is from Morgan, one of our beloved patrons, who writes, EHR has become one of those podcasts I listen to repeats of when I'm stressed, which is very kind. And hearing you talk about Wheel of Time always offers some comical escapism, so thank you. This Thanksgiving, we hosted all of my in-laws for the first time, and I was, I know, rip.
Yeah.
And I was in a flurry doing all sorts of meal prep in the kitchen alone the night before, so naturally I plugged in my headphones for random EHR episodes, including Sue Roth in Falm with the Candlestick. It's a real throwback. This was great and got me through all the Thanksgiving Eve meal prep, and then when I went back to rejoin my wife and in-laws in the living room, they were all sitting around the couch enjoying a nice lighthearted conversation. When I sat down, I unplugged my headphones and my phone continued to play EHR and admits Sally's voice saying, "Genocide!" at full volume. I frantically paused the podcast. They all turned to me shocked and asked, "What was that? A podcast? What kind of podcast?" Wanting the conversation to end, I said, "Just a history podcast. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving, EHR." My favorite historical podcast.
Genocide.
Genocide.
That's really in character for you, too.
It is very in character, and I also think very appropriate for the American Thanksgiving holiday to just be like...
You're lucky. If it had been me, it would have been like anal sex or something. So it could have been worse, you know?
It could have been worse. Genocide.
Appropriate on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
you really got the conversation started, I hope, about the atrocities behind the American Thanksgiving holiday.
Sure.
And congrats on getting through your first Thanksgiving with the in-laws. That sounds...
Yeah, that's tough.
Tough. You're a brave little soldier. Okay.
All right,
Our cats are
being demonic, so have a good weekend.
Have a good week. Bye.